Let's head out west. Little NFC West action. Emery, you're our guy. Let's go to Seattle first. They had 10 picks in this draft. Best pick for you for Seattle Seahawks?
Jackson Smith-Njigba. I felt like when you think about the Seattle Seahawks and you saw what happened in the postseason when teams got frustrated with, what they did throwing the football, they were able to take away those options on the perimeter. And DK Metcalf, they got in his head. You saw them really shut down a beleaguered and injured Tyler Lockett. So when you think about Jackson Smith-Njigba, he feels a need right away. He's able to step in and play inside or outside and gives yet another vertical threat, but also an underneath threat for Geno Smith. So I thought that was a home run. I was shocked that he fell that far in the draft.
Were you shocked, Rick? Because we had talked about these wide receivers potentially going as high as 10, and I think he lasted until 20. I believe that's when he went off the board around that range. Is that because they're running quarterbacks and the offensive tackles and cornerbacks, or is there another reason?
Yeah, I think because he started the run on receivers in, so the receiver run didn't start till later in the draft. So a lot of times, depending on how everybody has their draft board developed, and then you see teams that have the same needs, you see them come out bang, 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 bang. And that was the situation here, but the receiver run doesn't mean they're not going to be all-caliber, Pro Bowl, great players in the NFL. It's just where the run started.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson was the 5th wide receiver taken, I believe.
Yes.
I think he's going to be okay. We'll see. All right, let's talk about your hidden gem. The Seahawks took 2 guys from Michigan. Which one of these young men is your hidden gem?
Mike Morris first, because it's easier to pronounce Mike Morris. So that's number 1. And number 2, I found myself being more impressed with him than I did Mozzie Smith when I was watching him on tape, because I felt like he was more fundamentally sound. He played with his hands rather well, did a good job versus the run. And to me, when you're that fundamentally sound, it gets you on the field early, and Seattle needed a ton of help. So it could have been any insert defensive lineman here, and I would have been okay with it. But I felt like Morris, for what he was doing for Michigan, gives him a solid foundation as a base defensive end.
All right, Rick is our first-round pick in terms of pronouncing names. Tell us the Michigan center, if you don't mind.
Yes, the OC from Michigan.
Emery, do you want to snap at it, or do I have to tell you what it is?
I'm going to go ahead and say number 52 or whatever number he wore.
Oluwatimi. Come on, guys. I didn't get it right.
Oh, that's Oluwatimi.
Tommy?
Oluwatimi. That's easy.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
here you go.
All right, let's move on. Going to Arizona, a team that's in transition is one way to put it. New coach, new general manager, their quarterback is coming off the ACL injury. What do you like about what they did in this draft class to perhaps help Kyler Murray?
Well, I didn't like the trade, but I do like the player in Paris Johnson. Very good offensive tackle, someone that can help out on that left side. Technically sound guy, did a great job in protecting C.J. Stroud back there in the pocket. So when you're thinking about Kyler Murray coming off of a knee injury, we know he's an athletic guy, but I feel like they're going to ask him to stay in the pocket a little bit more, so be a little bit more judicious in when he runs. So for me, Paris Johnson, very good offensive line prospect, probably the best one in the class at the position.
Why didn't you like the trade, just out of curiosity?
Because I would have taken Will Anderson, because they need pass rush, and he was the best one in the class, in my opinion. I would have stayed pat, got the guy that can affect the game, and maybe we could find another solid tackle, maybe not the best tackle, but we can't find another Will Anderson.
Rick is our general manager here with the first pick. I think you did the math on the points, and the points usually you want to be around 50?
Yeah, 50 plus or minus.
What were these points?
And these points, Arizona won the trade big time by 900 and some points, but then you see I also gave Houston C.J. Stroud, and I also gave Houston Will Anderson. So if it turns out like everybody thinks it's going to turn out, you can throw the points out the window. It's going to come down on how many games you win.
Did you like that trade or no?
I liked it, but I didn't like I learned this in broadcasting boot camp. We have a tease coming up, and I'll tell you the reasons why I didn't like the Arizona Cardinals the overall draft. I thought they were solid, but I thought they panicked a little bit because when they moved down to 12, right, and they knew that probably the run on offensive linemen was going to start at 9 with the Chicago Bears, they probably tried to go up to 8, then 7, and finally they found a partner at 6.
Right.
So they moved up, cost them a little more, but they ended up getting the tackle they wanted, and that was Paris Johnson Jr.
All right, let's go to your hidden gem. And Emery, I just want to say I've been talking about this young man out of Stanford for quite some time. That's what I heard from Rick when I first introduced him to Rick. And I heard it at the Senior Bowl, and he slowly came around, and now he's doing the because he knows that I'm right. And I'm happy, Emery, that you were going to confirm that I'm right. Who's your hidden gem?
It is Michael Wilson. Check you out, Ryan, doing a great job. But he's my #1 X receiver. So I have to say this because he has to come with a caveat. If he's healthy.
Stop it.
And that's the biggest key, because when you try to find which game to watch, you have to see if he's on the depth chart first, because he may be out of the game because of an injury. So when you think about someone like him, he can stack and track rather well, great acceleration, closes on the football, all those things you want a receiver to do. He's 6'2", 213 pounds, had a fantastic week at the Senior Bowl. Now, if you could bottle up what you saw at the Senior Bowl health-wise and have that for 17 games, that's great. But I understand why he went where he went, because you can't depend on him for 17 weeks.
So, Rick, 4.58, but I think you would agree he plays faster than that. So how do you
Yeah, he plays faster than that, but he's not a speed demon. I have some issues with his drops. I know he goes up and he's big and he's a possession type receiver to me. He's always going to be covered, but he's going to have to learn how to come up more consistently with the contested 50-50 catches. But he can do that. But the thing, a teaser, they took a couple of guys that are always hurt. So we'll talk about that down the road here.
All right, let's go to San Francisco, where the 49ers didn't make their first pick until pick 87. And best pick? What are you thinking here? Is it the kicker who they took in the 3rd round at 99th overall?
Unless you go 100% for your kicks, I'm not taking a kicker
like
to be
Briscoe.
my best.
Okay.
But Jair Brown was one of my favorite combo safeties. This is a guy that can play free or strong. Love the ball skills, love the instincts. He's able to get over top, can be successful in a split safety look or even deep third. So for me, getting a guy like that on the back end, we saw them have issues in the secondary in the playoffs. Seattle, right out of the gate, went deep down the field. You need someone that can help take that deep ball away, and Jair Brown, to me, out of Penn State, does that.
He's a lot of fun to watch. He also ran in the high 4.5s. Again, he seems to play faster than that, but you don't need to run a 4.2 to play safety, and especially when you're close to the line of scrimmage doing the things he's doing here. All right, let's talk about your hidden gem, and there are several to choose from. I love Braden Willis. D. Winters has a little juice to him as well. Who are you going with?
Well, there's several options, but there's only one Sun Best Conference option. In South Alabama's Darrell Luter Jr., the outstanding corner, great man skills, can play on either side, boundary or field side. I like him as more of a boundary. I know the NFL game is played in the middle of the field, so when I say boundary, I'm talking about his physicality with what he does at the point of attack, at the line of scrimmage, able to jam, turn and find the football, does a great job staying in phase. So he's, to me, one of those corners that you see coming from the Sun Belt Conference that has been battle-tested, because we tend to play up in that conference. He does a great job, so I love him.
Where do you play up to?
He played up. Hey, listen, we're a Power 6 conference. Like, so you talk about South Alabama.
I don't know. The MAC may be arguing with you with that.
Power 7. All right. So,
I'll give you 6.5.
6.5. He's good.
Mountain West, but we can keep going, but we got to get through this show.
Power 8. But I like Luter. I think he has great ball skills. And he was another one who was very surprising down there at the Senior Bowl, had a great week of work in one-on-ones.
All right, let's go to Los Angeles, where the Rams were on the clock. I think I'm right in saying that Sean McVay has yet to have a first-round pick. While being the head coach of the Rams, they did pick 36, however. That is close enough. Tell me, Emery, who is your best pick for the Rams?
Well, there's like 17 Byron Youngs in this draft class, but I'm going to take the one from Tennessee. I felt
17 Byron Youngs, and the Rams actually had 14 picks. So
so they got a lot of them. So
yeah,
they probably drafted most of them. But he is someone that does a great job getting off the ball, and his journey to where he had success was tremendous. A guy that had to fight through adversity, get on the football field, and find that continuity within that defense. So for me, getting someone like they tend to do, they do a great job on the back end of the draft, which is why they're so liberal to giving up their first-round picks or second-round picks, because they do a great job on the back end. And Young, to me, is a hidden gem, like what they had in Ebucom a few years ago out of Eastern Washington.
The one thing you just got to respect on everything and the adversity went through, and I believe he was the GM at the General Dollar Store.
Yeah.
And ended up a little bit older, but to come from that to saying you're a draft pick here in the NFL is an incredible story.
By the way, the Rams also had Mr. Relevant this year, DeJuan Johnson, defensive tackle out of Toledo. I don't think he's going to be your hidden gem, although he has some really good tape. Who's your guy in Los Angeles for the hidden gem?
Stetson Bennett, man. When you think about Stetson Bennett, his journey, the walk-on to the starter, to the two-time national champion, and he kind of fits what they have in the quarterback depth chart, or what they used to have. John Wolford, athletic guy, throw well on the move. You talk about Bryce Perkins out of Virginia, another athletic guy that threw well on the move. So Bennett fits what they want. Now, it's the off-the-field things that you worry about. L.A. that you worry about with him and going out there. So if he has his head on straight, we know he can compete. We know he's a gamer, and we know he's a guy that can definitely get the job done on a short notice.
By the way, Rick, shout out to our guy Chris Trapasso for having Kobe Turner going much higher than we thought. He ended up going 3rd round, 89th overall. he accepts your apology. All right, let's